Right, now let's look at the chemical properties of your acids. Okay, what are chemical properties? When you say chemical properties, it's actually just referring to the reactions. Right, let's look at the first reaction. So acids react with reactive metals. And reactive metals to produce salt and hydrogen gas. Now, why is it important for me to use the word reactive? Because some metals, example, okay, some metals that do not react, copper, silver, gold, platinum, all of these do not react with your acids. So that's why it's important to use the word, reactive here. So that you guys do not get confused thinking that every single metal do react with your acids. Okay? So some of the example equations, example of the equations, let's look at the general word equation. General word equation. Okay, general word equation. G stands for general. It's actually your metals. To be exact, it's your reactive metals. Sorry here. Okay, your reactive metals plus acid will give me salt plus hydrogen. So let's look at one specific word equation. We can have maybe zinc reacting with our hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid to give me zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. Right, so if you look at it carefully, the word chloride here, right, chloric, hydrochloric acid, the salt form, it will be the metal with the chloride. Hydrochloric will turn into chloride. And later on we'll look at more examples, but just take note, hydrochloric acid, when it reacts with something, the salt produced will always have the word chloride at the end. So what is the chemical equation here? Let's write it down. I have zinc plus HCl. Okay, must memorize zinc plus HCl. My HCl is hydrochloric acid. It'll give me zinc chloride, ZnCl2 plus H2. Balance it, and this is it. So this is your chemical equation. Now this is when you have your acid reacting with your metal. Next up, you have your acids. You will also react with your carbonates. Okay, carbonates. What does it produce? It produces salt, carbon dioxide, and water. So the general word equation is your carbonates plus acid gives me salt plus carbon dioxide plus water. Okay, what is the specific word equation? We can use maybe sodium carbonate, maybe this time we use nitric acid. What I'll get is the metal first. The salt will always have the metal as the first part of the name. The second part will be, in this case here, a nitrate. Nitric will turn into a nitrate. Okay, nitric acid will produce a nitrate salt. That's carbon dioxide plus water. Right, let's look at the chemical equation. You have your sodium carbonate plus nitric acid. You give me sodium nitrate plus carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide plus water. Right, so this is your acid reacting with your carbonates. And lastly, your acids react with alkalis and bases. Okay, either one, alkalis or bases, to produce salt plus water. So I should use N, salt and water. So what's the general equation? What you have is your alkali slash base reacting with your acid to produce salt and water. Okay, let's look at our specific word equation. Let's use something simple. Maybe we try an alkali. What you have is your sodium hydroxide oh man, so distracting. Okay, sodium hydroxide plus sulfuric acid. You give me, in this case here, I'll have sodium sulfate plus water. So the chemical equation will be sodium hydroxide is NaOH, sulfuric acid is H2SO4. You give me Na2SO4 plus H2O. If you do not know how I get all of these chemical formulas here, please go and recap on your chemical formulas. Okay, now looking at the three reactions, you realize that sulfuric acid produces what type of salt? It produces sulfate salts. Okay, so example, as you can see here, sulfuric acid will produce a sulfate salt. You also see that nitric acid, what type of salt does it produce? It produces what type of salt? As you can see, it's a nitrate salt. So looking at here, nitric acid produces a nitrate salt. And lastly, if I use a hydrochloric acid, what type of salt will I produce? If I scroll up a bit, hydrochloric acid produces what type of salt? Chloride salt. Okay, so it produces a chloride salt.